With the regular season winding down, all the teams are trying to make a final push to improve their records a little. Obviously, none of these teams want to finish below the playoff line, but they are also making a desperate push to climb to 7th or 6th, because finishing in 8th place is almost as bad as not making the playoffs at all. The playoff system that we know today began in 1984, and since then, there have only been 5 occasions where the 8th seed has made it to the second round. The first one occurred in 1994 when the Nuggets beat the Supersonics. The Sonics had won 63 games during the regular season compared to the Nuggets' 42. The key player on the Nuggets was Dikembe Mutombo, and he was facing Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp from the Sonics. In the previous year, the Sonics had lost in 7 games to Charles Barkley and the Suns in the third round, missing the finals by 1 game, and things look promising for them this year. 63 season wins, and they even beat the Nuggets in the first 2 games of the series. Remember, this was a time when the first round was only a 5-game series. With 1 win to go and 3 chances to do it, the Sonics were already looking forward to the second round, but the Nuggets shocked everybody when they won the next 2 games. The world was further shocked when Game 5 went into overtime, and their shock levels were at an all-time high when the Nuggets were able to pull 4 points ahead to win the series. In the second round, the Nuggets lost the first 3 games to the Jazz, but again shocked the world when they won the following 3 to force a Game 7. At this point, it seemed like the Nuggets could come back from anything, but they ironically shocked the world one last time when they lost Game 7. The next one occurred in 1999 when the Knicks beat the Heat. This year was a shortened season, and only 6 games separated the 2 teams, the Heat having 33 wins compared to the Knicks' 27. The Knicks had Patrick Ewing on the team as always, but before the season the Knicks lost John Starks and Charles Oakley, and gained Latrell Sprewell and Marcus Camby. On the Heat side there was Alonzo Mourning, alongside head coach Pat Riley. The Knicks must have needed time to adjust to the new lineup, because they did much better in the playoffs than they had during the season. The series against the Heat went to 5 games, and had an exciting ending where Allen Houston made a game-winning shot with less than a second on the clock. The second round, the Knicks were matched up against the Atlanta Hawks, where they won the series in 4 straight victories. The Knicks faced the Pacers in the third round, and actually won that too. The first and only time in NBA history an 8th seed was in the finals. They were matched up against the Spurs. Tragedy occurred in Game 2 when Patrick Ewing was forced to miss the rest of the series due to an Achilles injury. You're probably thinking Ewing was 36 years old at the time. How big of a difference could his absence possibly make? Well, the Spurs were known for their inside presence, with players like Tim Duncan and David Robinson. The Knicks needed a big man on the floor to stop them, and without Ewing, the Knicks had no answer. The Spurs won the championship in 5 games. We'll never know if the series would have resulted differently if Ewing had remained on the floor. In 2007, the heavily favored Mavericks lost to Golden State. Obviously, the first seed is always heavily favored against the 8th place team, but this one was even more. The Mavericks had lost to Miami in the finals in the previous year, a series that many say the Mavericks should have won. And they had an incredible 67 wins this season. When comparing them to the 42-win Golden State team, the series was a no-brainer. The Mavericks were led by Dirk Nowitzki, and Golden State by Baron Davis. The first round was now a 7-game format, and Golden State only needed 6 of those to beat the Mavericks. The only way to try to explain such a big upset like this is that it may have just been a bad matchup for the Mavericks. Sometimes one team could be better overall, but certain individual matchups results in the inferior team winning. The theory is supported by the fact that the Mavericks lost only 15 games in the season, but all 3 times they played Golden State, they lost. If the Mavericks had been matched up against a different team, possibly even a better team, they may have made it all the way to the finals, but something about this Golden State team just made them too hard to beat. That year, Golden State fell to Utah in the next round. It took until 2011 for Nowitzki and the Mavericks to finally win their well-deserved championship. In 2011, the Grizzlies upset the Spurs. The Grizzlies had a season 46 wins compared to the Spurs' 61, and the Spurs team had all the usual players like Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, and of course their head coach, Greg Popovich. The Grizzlies had Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. They won Game 1 of the series and never fell behind, finishing it in 6 games. It was the first time the Grizzlies had ever won a playoff series. The next round the Grizzlies played the Thunder, and even took it to 7 games before ultimately losing. It only took 1 year before the next occurrence. This time the 76ers beat the Bulls. It was another shortened season with the Bulls reaching 50 wins and the 76ers only reaching 35. The reason behind this upset is the previous year's MVP Derrick Rose was injured in the first game and didn't play for the rest of the series. He actually missed the entire next year as well. The Bulls had good support players such as Joakim Noah, Kyle Korver, Carlos Boozer, and a rookie Jimmy Butler, but it wasn't enough.
Watson, 1 second, throws it up. Oh, it's off the back of the iron. The 76ers are going to the second round.
But I will say that the Bulls did win Game 1, the only one Rose was a part of, but they lost 4 of the next 5. This is my ranking of how impressive each of these victories were for the underdog team. First is the Golden State victory, based solely on the strength of that Mavericks team. The next is the Nuggets victory, based on the fact that they were in a position where they needed to win 3 straight games, and were able to do it in 3 clutch performances. Third, I put the Grizzlies victory, because the Spurs team has won championships both before and after this loss, and I've seen how difficult they could be to beat. Fourth is the Knicks victory. I ranked them lower because they were a stronger team than their record had reflected, and there wasn't a huge skill difference between the Heat and the Knicks. It was probably an even matchup between the two teams. Last, I put the 76ers. I still give them credit for being able to beat the Bulls without Rose, but if Rose had remained in the series, things would have ended differently. It's sort of like when Golden State beat the injured Cleveland team in the finals. The victory isn't as impressive if the opponents don't all show up. So let me know in the comments what you think about these upsets, as well as my rankings. Or if you think we could possibly see another one this year. I'd like to know what you have to say. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and want to see more in a similar style, be sure to subscribe by clicking the logo so you know when I upload a new one.